What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Earlier today, you saw my top 25 video with playoff ranking reaction, my top 25, everything like that. This is the second video upload today because I didn't upload that video on Tuesday because I was in Lincoln at a basketball game. It was Creighton, Nebraska. Pretty interesting game. Had a lot of fun there. Again, I'm a college basketball guy as well, so me and a buddy went down to Lincoln, had some fun. But also, you're gonna get this video today. This is my playoff prediction my college football playoff prediction and New Year's Six bowl game prediction with 3 weeks to go. That's week 12, week 13, and the conference championship week as well. There's still a lot to play out this college football season, but I'm going to go ahead, predict the way teams are looking right now and what I think might happen down the line in the future. So these are my predictions for the end of the year. Let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of those fun things. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it. As usual, we're starting off with my playoff predictions, and there is a change. You will notice there is a change in my playoff predictions, and it's Oregon slotting in here as the number 3 team. English is not my strong suit. I apologize. But Georgia, Ohio State, Cincinnati have stayed constant. Go through a little bit of an explanation now. Georgia, what more of an explanation do you want? This has looked like the best team in America. They have already clinched the SEC East. They do not play another game in the SEC. They have, I believe, Charleston Southern and then Georgia Tech, 2 games that they should absolutely dominate heading into the game in Atlanta. So Georgia, definitely the front runners in the SEC. What more do you want me to say? This team is playing some really good football, and my goodness, that's the best defense I've ever watched in my 18, almost 19 now year lifespan on this planet. That defense is fantastic. Georgia is number 1, period, end of story. Ohio State I have at number 2. So Ohio State, the team that probably is going to come out of the Big Ten East, probably going to come out of the Big Ten as well, but they still got the 2 toughest games left on the schedule. That is Michigan State and then Michigan. So it's 2 very interesting and very crucial, important games for Ohio State and for the college football playoff realm. So we'll see what happens in those games there. Those games should be very, very interesting to watch. Of course, Ohio State plays Michigan State in Columbus and then goes and plays Michigan in Ann Arbor in the Big House. So we'll see what happens there. But as of right now, I'm predicting Ohio State to finish the regular season 11-1, 12-1 overall, and win the Big Ten. I think that is what is going to happen for these Buckeyes. I think they're in a really good spot. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. Absolutely every single cylinder is popping off for the Ohio State team right now. On defense, it's still a work in progress, but again, it's played so much better than facing Oregon since facing Oregon in week 2. And Oregon, you see here as the number 3 team. This team still, I don't think, is quite at the level they were at when they beat Ohio State in week 2 in Columbus. But regardless, that was a dominant win. They have arguably the best win of the college football season so far. You could argue A&M over Alabama. But I think once it's all said and done, Oregon beating Ohio State will be the seller that will put them ahead of any one-loss team from the Big 12, possibly, even Cincinnati if it comes down to that. But as you see here, I have Cincinnati in the playoffs, so I don't think it'll come down to that. But Oregon, I think in here at number 3, if you want to flip them, and I have a feeling the committee might flip them and put Oregon at number 2 and Ohio State at 3, it doesn't really matter. And it really doesn't matter because, well, they're going to get the bowl game that Georgia does not pick, which will probably end up being the Cotton Bowl. And it just matters what jersey you wear, although Oregon's probably going to do something crazy anyway because Oregon loves their uniforms. But Oregon, really good shot to win the Pac-12. They're probably going to have to play Utah twice, and the first one is this week on the road. That's a really important game, but I like the way that Oregon is playing right now. It shows you which way I'm leaning if I have Oregon in my playoff spot, but my final predictions come out tomorrow on Thursday. At least I'm going to try to get them out on Thursday. Should be able to, but we'll see. If not, they will come on Friday. But Oregon, I have in here as number 3, and Cincinnati, I have in here as number 4. I know some people aren't as high on the Bearcats now as they were back then, or as they were about a month ago, because this team has kind of struggled through games, but they finally are starting to found their groove. They had a dominant win on the road against South Florida. Now they get to come back home to Nipper and play a really good SMU team to try to build this resume. I know SMU not looked highly upon by the committee as far as we know. But I think at the end of the day, that's still going to be a great win for Cincinnati. Then you have East Carolina on the road. That's still going to be a solid win. East Carolina is a team that might make a bowl game this year. Might even have already clinched their spot. Not too sure about that. But East Carolina, definitely a team that's contending for bowl contention. And again, that game against Cincinnati might be the game that they need to make a bowl game for East Carolina. So Cincinnati's got to watch out for that one. But I think at the end of the day, that's a pretty solid win as well. And then you're going to get to play Houston, more likely than not, in the American Athletic Championship game, which the committee now finally has ranked. So still some very interesting games coming up left for Cincinnati. But a win is a win is a win. I think if Cincinnati finishes the season undefeated, they already have a win against Notre Dame, who more likely than not could be team number, or more likely than not probably won't be team number 5, but could be 5, 6. Notre Dame will finish in the top 10 if they finish 11-1, and that's definitely going to help Cincinnati later down the line, and that's why I have Cincinnati in here at number 4. But there is my playoff field. Let me know your guys' playoff field in the comment section down below, and let's go ahead and get into now my New Year's 6 predictions, and there have been some big changes this week in my New Year's 6 bowl game predictions, but Notre Dame is one of the constants that has remained the same here in the Peach Bowl. I think they're going to be taking on Pitt now. So week 1 of my predictions, I had Wake Forest. Then last week, I had NC State. Well, now I think Pitt probably going to be the team that comes out of the ACC, because we've had some opportunities to see what happens when Wake Forest plays good competition, right? And Wake Forest, again, the highest rated team in the ACC right now. But when you look at this team here in Pitt, when you look at how they're playing, this is one of the best scoring offenses in the country. Kenny Pickett has been phenomenal for Pitt this year. He's a sneaky Heisman contender for sure. Again, not my pick to win it right now, but my pick probably won't end up winning it anyway. But Pitt, look, played really, really solid football up to this point. I think they can contend with anyone in the ACC. On a collision course to play Wake Forest. They have an interesting one this week against Virginia that'll likely decide that division in the ACC. But for right now, I do have Pitt in the Peach Bowl playing Notre Dame. Again, Notre Dame, more likely than not, their only loss is going to end up being to Cincinnati, who I think is going to be an eventual playoff team. And so Notre Dame would be here in the Peach Bowl in a New Year's 6 bowl slot. All right. Moving on here to the Fiesta Bowl. There's another change. Ole Miss remains a constant. I thought they were going to beat Texas A&M. Not a lot of people were counting on them to do it, and they did. They ended up beating Texas A&M. But Ole Miss also is going to have to contend with a team like Baylor that right now is behind them, and Ole Miss probably does not have a shot to make the conference championship game, while Baylor still does. But I think at the end of the day, Ole Miss will be the team here in the New Year's 6 bowl game playing Michigan State. Why Michigan State? They have the win over Michigan, right? Shouldn't they be in the Rose Bowl? Well, I think later down the line, when you look, they play Ohio State and Penn State up next. Ohio State is going to be a really hard game for them to win. Can they keep pace with that offense that Ohio State has? Can Kenneth Walker have a big day? Is Naylor going to be healthy to play in that game, right? There's a lot of things there. And the chances of winning that one, in my opinion, are not the best. But that game against Penn State also looms heavy, because Michigan State absolutely could lose that one as well, because I don't think Penn State is that bad of a team. But we've seen what the committee has done, right? Michigan is ranked ahead of Michigan State, despite Michigan State beating Michigan just a couple of weeks ago, which is why I think the committee, because again, they're the one who decides who goes in the New Year's 6 bowl games as well. I think they are going to put Michigan in the Rose Bowl instead of Michigan State. I think regardless if Michigan State beats Penn State or not, because I think right now, again, you see Ohio State in the playoff, in my opinion, which means they would beat both Michigan State and Michigan, which means at best both those teams would be 10-2, which again, for both those teams are not bad records at all. In fact, that's, in my opinion, is an overachieving level. a tremendous season. And going back to Ole Miss here, look, you beat a good Texas A&M team. You've had some good wins on the schedule as well. If they win out, I think they are a proper candidate to make a New Year's Six bowl game. But let's keep it moving now. The Rose Bowl. I think the Rose Bowl is going to be more interesting than people think because, again, there's still that conversation of Michigan and Michigan State. But I just explained it. It's why I have Michigan State in the Rose Bowl because of what the committee has shown recently, right? That Michigan is ahead of Michigan State, even though Michigan State beat Michigan 2 weeks ago, which is what leads me to believe the committee will put Michigan in the Rose Bowl. And it's where I personally have them as well. Now, the other team, the team coming out of the Pac-12. That's interesting because I have Oregon in the playoffs, which more likely than not means Oregon would win out, right? Oregon would go 12-1 and beat Utah twice. Well, that leaves Utah with 5 losses, and I don't know that a committee is going to put a 5-loss team in the Rose Bowl. But right now, they're the only other team ranked in the Pac-12. I really have no other guess as to who else they would put in there besides the Pac-12 runner-ups. And even then, Utah would be 8-5, which is a record that we have seen before in New Year's Six games. I think Texas has made it when they were 8-5. I know some team has made a New Year's Six bowl game when they were 8-5, but again, the Pac-12 spot is really hard for me to figure out because while I think Michigan has played some good football this year, they still have that game with Ohio State that I am predicting them as of this point to lose, to drop. Utah, I'm not sure what's going to happen out of the Pac-12 here. Right now, I'm going to put Utah in. They're the only other team ranked by the committee in or from the Pac-12, and I'm probably going to be that team that comes out of the Pac-12 South anyway. But I think the Pac-12 is an interesting conference to watch. So we'll see what happens there. But moving on now to the final one here, and that's the Sugar Bowl. Alabama, of course, they missed the playoffs because I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. That would finish them 11-2 on the season. You make a New Year's Six bowl, not that big of a deal. But here, this is where people might turn their heads a little bit. I have Oklahoma State in this game. Now, the reason I have this here is because as of right now, what I'm thinking is Oklahoma State is going to go beat Oklahoma in Stillwater. Again, as of right now, my picks can change, but I like the chances of Oklahoma State beating Oklahoma in Stillwater. And then that would mean that Oklahoma, saying that Baylor wins out, does not make the Big 12 championship game. Instead, it would be Oklahoma State and Baylor again in the Big 12 championship game. So definitely some interesting results to play out still in the Big 12. But I think as of right now, this is the highest ranked team in the Big 12. You don't see a Big 12 team in the playoff. I think Oklahoma State can absolutely make a case, especially if they can go and then win the Big 12. But as of right now, got to put Oklahoma State in the Sugar Bowl, as I think teams like Oregon will beat them out with that win against Ohio State. And I think Cincinnati will beat them out just by being undefeated. They're going to have a win over Notre Dame, a team that not from the get-go, but was really close with Oklahoma. I feel like it was pretty darn close on whether or not Notre Dame or Oklahoma was going to take up that 8 spot. But again, Oklahoma, a team that the committee has not really respected as of late. Again, they haven't really played too many complete games, so I don't know that a Big 12 team finds their way into the playoff without, of course, another team losing, that being Oregon, Cincinnati, maybe a Big 12 champ finishes with 2 losses. We can still see some crazy bonkers things happen in this college football season. If this is going to be the year a 2-loss team makes it, it's going to be the year a 2-loss team makes it. But as of right now, I don't think that happens. I think we see 2 unbeatens and 2 one-loss teams that have played each other, and I think are going to play each other again in the playoffs. Higher stakes, higher hopes. No matter what 4 teams make the playoffs, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But as of right now, these are my predictions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, do anything you can, help support the channel. Tomorrow, again, not promising anything, but most likely tomorrow I will be uploading my preview and predictions for the upcoming games that we are going to see in Week 12. This is a huge week, monumental week for a lot of teams, and we'll be talking about a lot of the big matchups next week. But as usual, remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I will see all of you guys tomorrow or Friday with my preview predictions for Week 12. Goodbye.